Alright, so I see this kind of bouncing around a bit. He's speaking on it, and it's just, he's a big name, so that's mainly why it's bouncing around. But it's honestly an interesting prospect because just take a look at the general way people are and the way the general, I guess, conversation is. And this goes back to, I suppose, the nature of the way that both parties in the current time operate. Uh, it's take the whole stuff with Blue Sky going on. It's effectively becoming Twitter pre-Elon 2.0. It is literally just people going there and getting upset about any little thing. It is things today are people generally getting upset about every little tiny thing. I've seen a funny thing going around where it's uh, fast food restaurants. I think it's a good way to look at things. Our current culture and society has gone from, like 20 years ago, 10, 20 years ago, whatever. Everyone remembers the whole playpen, the whole jungle gym, ball pit, all that, and it's replaced by, if they have them outside of Chick-fil-A, everything else they've got these little, well, if they have anything for kids to be entertained with, it's this little tablet thing. It's an interesting thing because we have literally just had a very cultural shift in a sense where people that are obsessed with sanitizing and safety and getting upset about any little infraction has led us to sanitize and self-censor in a way that has become very evident with the way Europe has become. Why do I say that? Because for a while, well, for quite a while, Germany's gone back to their old habits, where they confiscated a man's laptop and phone over him posting a meme. Content of it aside, like that, that's part of the reason why America has the freedom of speech that it has. That's why it is. Well, let me rephrase that. It has the protection of the freedom of speech that it has. Because the whole idea is that we do not have a set of rights that are given to us by the government. It is that we have a living written document that protects the rights that God had given us. Language there is very important. It was at one point an ideal that was shared by common people across most of Europe, most of the Western world. And we've watched it quickly decline. I don't know if it's due to any sort of historical issues or something, but like the best way to look at it is just, hey, this occurred years ago in a very different way. Why has it come back in its current form, and why is it continuing to work? Well, not work, but why is it continuing to persist? Because people that no longer have those religious ties, values, or beliefs look and say, I don't believe other people can think the way I don't believe any other people think the way I do. Well, the way I'm going to rephrase that. People exist today that say, I do not believe anyone does not think the way I don't. Or, again, I'm probably phrasing this really badly. There are some people today that are baffled by the possible idea that someone could think in a different way than them. There, I finally got my idea out. It's not even my idea. It's something you can see it if you just look at the current landscape of things. what the Democrats have come to be is hyper sanitized, hyper, I guess, politically correct is the best way to phrase it. You can't say anything that would offend someone, and that has become effective law in Europe. It's to the point where they can't even give a description of someone in a stabbing incident until after the event has occurred. And it goes back to Vance's speech there. I don't know if actually this is the right one, but I think it is. But I'm not gonna play. I'm not gonna play it. But it's just he was on stage flaming everyone. Yeah. The security cameras. This is the one. He was on stage flaming basically Europe for the fact that they no longer hold to the same ideals we once did back during World War II. The reason, like a big reason we came to their help and then eventually to their defense, is that we believe we shared values. Russia was more of a convenient ally. Well, friend of my friend is enemy of my enemy is my friend. There we go. Uh, there are some people that believe Russia was more effective in the war than they were. No, not really. The whole reason they were able to be as effective as they were is because we had actually sent people over there before we joined the war to actually build up their manufacturing base to actually build tanks and be able to fight. Same thing we did in China. The U.S. had sent volunteer airmen, and they were what would become the Flying Tigers. Like we were involved in the war covertly, in a sense, in a similar way as what's going on now. Do I believe say what you want about what's currently going on in Ukraine? I'm not going to say one way or another. I generally will steer away from that because it's just not something I want to. It's not a conversation there I want to start because it's a whole big old, it's a whole thing of this and that. If you want to support them, sure. If you don't want to, fine, whatever. It's a conversation we can have, but I don't feel like having it right here. I want to go back to this where it's now just in general in question as to whether we'll see a Democrat president again. For the way the party currently exists, I will not. I say it is unlikely. Why do I say that? Simple. Who who is their best candidate at this point? You can't say it's Kamala. Uh, they don't have anyone. They're struggling to look for effectively their next Obama. That's my best way of putting it. They are looking for the next charismatic leader, and they are struggling to find it. Uh, is Trump something? I think Vance could probably be the next one to take the spot. Maybe even Ron DeSantis if he cleans up his act and well, if he shifts around a bit and is more populist, I think he could. I don't think he's as well spoken or as charismatic as a leader needs to be, but I could see him taking the slot maybe in 8 years or more. I don't know. He's not someone I think right now could handle the role. And now we go over to who could Democrats run? I don't think for the next few cycles we're going to see a viable candidate from them. Why do I say I don't think we'll see a viable candidate? Well, we've got Gavin Newsom as a possible contender. I don't think anyone likes him. Not even his own state likes him. So there's that. Then you've got a question of who else could they possibly throw out. If there is someone that is well liked in the party, please tell me because I do not know. And I think generally this whole sentiment stems from a decay in the Democrat Party as a whole. Why do I say decay? My great-grandparents and everyone before them have always been Democrat since around the time they came here. Well, my family came here. Story goes they fled from Poland during World War One after the great great after the great 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 grandfather had eliminated a Russian soldier or officer, as the story goes. He eventually made his way to immigrate to this great state, the great U.S. Then he worked in Pennsylvania, but then he moved to New York. Then he saved up, bought a farm, and sent money back, and that's how sent money back to Poland, and that's how they found out he was still alive. Following that, that farm has been in the family for up until recently, because the taxes in New York are so insane. The family just couldn't keep it, and it's generally within the last 2 generations, there's been a complete flip from Democrat to Republican within my own family. It's a funny thing to look at because of how the party has shifted and decayed from its initial idea. Well, I'm not going to say initial ideal because they've got their own checkered history, but initially they were for the working class. But they've become the party for the wealthy elites. They want to claim that's the Republicans with Trump and all that, but you don't see that. You don't. You As it currently stands, it is hilarious the way we are seeing them portray themselves now. Okay, sure, go ahead. They're trying to prevent tax cuts. They're trying to prevent reduction in the average person's taxes. They're trying to prevent government bloat. No, trying to protect government bloat, protect government spending, protect all these different government positions that may or may not need to be there. I don't know. I mean, the whole reason, a great example of just government spending and going forever and ever is, anyone remember the Got Milk campaign? I'm serious. Go back to World War II. The government was funding the dairy specifically so they can get ice cream to the troops in the front line during World War II. They built huge concrete barges just to produce it. Following World War II, there was not as much as a need for dairy, so the government continued buying milk, and then they turned it into cheese over time because it was easier to store. And that eventually they get the people question, hey, either we're going to dispose of this cheese, anyone want? And then there's a backlash, and then after that, they started giving out government cheese, where we get the phrase. And following that, we then have the Got Milk campaign, where the government was effectively trying to get people to go buy more milk, buy more dairy. Is the biggest thing where we do not say you have a milk allergy, we say you are lactose intolerant. We don't say you're allergic to it, we just say you don't tolerate it, or whatever. It is something that the government has just been funding for years and years. And Fat Electrician has a fantastic little video on it. I believe it is on his main channel or Fat Files. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. Just you'll find it eventually. The whole thing is government spending will continue forever and ever and ever until someone goes to stop it. And it is literally something that's been kicked down the road over and over again. As generally things are, the current existing Democrat Party is positioning itself against the interests of the average person, in the sense of they're positioning themselves against general populist ideals and populist policies that they themselves would have supported 40, 50 years ago or more. But at the same time, they also currently are pushing legislation and policy that will actively destroy the American people. Why do I say that? Very simple. A big part of the work reforms, OSHA, and all that What is the biggest Democrat talking point that's been held up the last 10 years, last 15 years? Minimum wage increase, minimum wage increase. They actively want to increase minimum wage. All that does is increase the price of everything else. All that does is make America less competitive when it comes to actual manufacturing, actual work. That makes America less competitive on the world stage. Because we have. And Trump is looking to change that not by dropping wages. He's looking to change it by going and changing tariffs. Why is that such a big deal? John Smith working. Let's just take the. Let's go with the more common minimum wage point everyone wants to go for. 15 an hour. Let's say he's working 15 an hour. He's got benefits. He's got all of that, and he's working a manufacturer thing. But thing gets a better deal in Mexico, where instead of paying, I don't know what their minimum wage is. Let's say instead of 15 an hour and benefits, it's say 9 an hour and no benefits. It's the same thing with how they. I mean, with illegal immigration. What was it? 7, 8. Well, not like 10 years ago or something before Trump started running. What was Bernie Sanders and going on about? How it's a Koch brothers proposal, and an open borders will destroy manufacturing and will just take jobs. Say what you want about the communist guy, but he was right about that. Then we move forward, and after Trump starts running, and even Hillary Clinton before that said, hey, we need a border wall. We need to do this, do that. Trump came in, effectively said he's pro-oxygen, and now they are anti-oxygen. That is the best way to put it. Anything that Trump wants to do, they are immediately against, because they know he's going to try his damnedest to do it. Why do I say he's going to try his damnedest to do that? I don't know. Maybe look at how hard he's been doing in his whole little tariff war here. Oh, maybe look at the fact that with him dragging support away from Ukraine, the EU, and just Europe in general has started to try and restore their own military. Has tried to. They're looking to poach the mineral deal from America within Ukraine. They are looking to try and fortify and fight against Russia. Why? Why is that? Because they are looking at it and saying, hey, maybe because we can't necessarily rely on Trump to subsidize our government, we have to do this ourselves, and they're going to find out real damn quick that the only reason they can keep doing their free healthcare is because America subsidized all of their military spending, because none of them have an actual functioning military, save Poland. God bless Poland right now. It is the thing of they can afford these choices within their government because they don't have to spend on military. As much as I am against America being the world police, it is the way America is and has been for years, and it is the case that we have the old phrase, hard times make tough men make good times make weak men make bad times. Or weak men make tough times. It is the case that we are in an era where people are soft and squishy, and we're seeing that play out. We were seeing it actively play out. The Democrat Party exists as the party of the squishies. I'm not referring to any body type. I'm referring specifically to personality type. They can't handle a joke. They can't. And going back to this, yeah, this is old, but back in February. But still, is the point. The point is, hey, maybe if we no longer agree on what values we are protecting, maybe we are no longer allies. Because Europe and the Democrat Party, the quote unquote liberal sections of government of governing parties have actively sought to suppress speech, to remove the ability to defend yourself. You can't even get a sharp-tipped knife very easily. I believe you need to get an I believe in Europe you need an ID for a sharp-tipped kitchen knife. A kitchen knife. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, they had knife collection bins. They had murals of confiscated sharp-tipped knives because they had a stabbing epidemic. They still do. And it's not a matter of, hey, we can change this, or no, you are not trying to change it. If you were trying to change it, you would have changed it by now. If you were trying to change and fix things, you would have, but you don't. Either you can't or you don't want to. I'm leaning towards they don't want to, because it's not an issue of the actual item. It is an issue of cultural rot. Cultural rot is what is causing this. Why do I say that? For the last 200 and something years, well, for the last 2,000 years, effectively, society has been slowly and quite effectively becoming more Christian. Christian ideals were seeping in. For the past 500 years, that's for the most part what Europe was based off of. For the entirety of America's existence, that's what it was. America effectively, one of the big things was that they wanted freedom to be able to worship the way they did, the way they wanted to. Why do I say that? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's something to do with Great Britain and the king wanting a divorce, but the Catholic Church didn't allow it. So he abolished the church, founded the Church of England, and then sought out his divorces and until he eventually had a son. Maybe it's something to do with that. Maybe it's something to do with the fact that they wanted to not have. I mean, that's probably why the founding fathers enshrined the separation of church and state, where the church is not to be affected by the government, but the government can be affected by the church. Christian ideals have been the foundation of the Western world, and we have left them in general to rot. America has been decaying for years. Europe has been decaying for years. There is currently a resurgence of Christian faith. Why do I believe that? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's the fact that young men are actually looking to Christianity because they're tired of being effectively rejected and refused. They're generally looking and saying, "Hey, why am I being treated so like this?" And then it goes back to Christ very often saying, "You will be they persecuted me, so they'll persecute you." It is the fact that the idea that the suffering that you're going through has meaning. There is purpose to what is going on, and there is something greater at play. I look to stories like this. I look to the fact that we've had a story where there was an OF girl that did 100 guys in a day, and then there was some little, like, I think a flame war between her and another OnlyFans girl over who could do 1,000 or something. I don't know. My issue is, why do we even allow this in a civilized society? Why do we allow this in a civilized society? We shouldn't. It breaks my heart to see these people the way they are. It breaks my heart to see people deluded and people wanting to act out. It is something that I think needs to be looked at and fixed. Problem is, you can't ban this stuff because it only makes the problem worse. You need to spread the cultural ideal. You need to go and speak to the people. That's part of what I did with this channel. I got tired of just thinking and leaving all the words stuck in my head. I got tired of yelling at the wall, yelling at the mirror. It's a mix of I want to just throw my opinion out there, and I also want to just share games and talk opinions and do whatever. Eventually, things get bottled up for too long, and then you just break. Everyone, if you made it to any amount of time in this video, I thank you. If you like my opinions, thank you. If you're looking to better society, I wish you the best of luck and pray for you. Everything is going crazy, and people need hope. People need hope. So go and spread some hope. Till then. Well, till the next time.